Hey, Steve. Steve.
It looks like we're streaming live on YouTube.
You are now good to go. Okay. You
Good
may
evening,
proceed.
ladies and gentlemen of the Town of Dayton. This is the Town of Dayton Planning Board public hearing / regular meeting for Wednesday, January 5th, 2022, 6 p.m., remotely held via Zoom. Those seeking to provide public input should do so using the methods listed below. Video and audio of the meeting will be aired on Comcast Local TV 9 and on the Town of Dayton Planning and Land Use YouTube channel, which can be accessed using this link, www.youtube.com/channel. Public input may be provided using the following methods. Email keasterday@dayton-ma.gov 1 day prior to the meeting. Use the email subject line, Planning Board Meeting, January 5th, 2022, public input, and include your name and address for the record.
This one.
Secondly, you may join the Zoom meeting by going onto Zoom at www.zoom.com or dial by your location at 646-558-8656. That's 646-558-8656 using the meeting ID number of 744-646-2815. Again, that is 744-646-2815 with the passcode of 651342. Again, that passcode is 651342. This is the public meeting being video and audio recorded for cable broadcast. I'm going to call the meeting to order at 6:04 p.m. Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, peace and justice for all. Thank you very much. Members, this is for members only. Gentlemen, this evening, since we're going back to remote, all votes will be by roll call. Gentlemen, I'm going to entertain a motion to confirm the next meeting date of January 19th, 2022.
So moved.
Motion made. Is there a second?
Second.
Motion made and motion made and second. Any further discussion on the motion? Hearing none, let's vote on the next meeting date of January 19th, 2022. Vice Chairman Woods.
Aye.
Member Figueredo.
It's on.
There you are,
Great.
Joe.
Hey, I'm here.
Yeah, we're voting on the next meeting date, Mr. Figueredo, of January 19th of 2022.
Okay. You want me to say aye? Yes.
If you would,
Aye.
please.
You don't
Aye.
have to.
Member Cunha.
Aye.
Chairman Ryan's aye. I'm
Jeff
going to move on
Cavallo votes
to
aye as
agenda
well.
item number 4. Excuse me?
Jeff Cavallo votes aye as well.
I asked, did I not ask you, sir? I'm sorry if I missed you.
That's okay.
I do apologize. I'm going to move on to agenda item number 4B, and that's A, is to review, discuss, and act on the Form A applications of the North Christian Church, 2360 Chestnut Street, map 1, lot 81-3. Now, gentlemen, you received your packets. The applicant has the necessary 250-foot of frontage. It's in a residential zoning area. Again, it's located at 2360 Chestnut Street. I'll give everybody a second to take a look at that Form A again before we vote. Gentlemen, I'm going to entertain a motion to approve the Form A plan for the North Christian Church at 2360 Chestnut Street, map 1, lot 81-3.
So move.
Second.
Motion been made. For a second. Motion made and seconded. Any further discussion on the motion? Hearing none, let's vote. Vice Chairman Woods.
Aye.
Member Figueredo.
Aye.
Member Cavallo,
Aye.
Member Cunha,
Aye.
Chairman Rhines, aye. Going to your packet, I'm going to move on to agenda item number 4A2, and that's Lisa Leonard, 2450 Chestnut Street, map 1, lot 87. Again, gentlemen, you've received your packets. It's another standard Form A. This is in a residential and agricultural district in town. There is 175 foot of frontage. It falls under our zoning ordinance of section 2620, fits the criteria. I'll give everybody an opportunity to look at this one more time before I call for a vote.
So we're talking about parcel A, right? The 4,295 square feet. So they're carving that out. Is that what's happening?
Yes.
Okay, all right. I was reading through that, trying to figure out what exactly was going on. So they have 175 feet of frontage. I know when I looked at that, it wasn't super obvious that.
So
that
Is there
is
water in
so-
that neck of the woods?
if you forgive me for 1 second there, the engineer for this is on, he's on here. You'll have to
Mhm.
forgive me. I'm trying to find him at the moment.
Yes, Mr. Reed, I saw him. He was here somewhere, I
Rick,
believe.
Rick from Lighthouse.
Rick is representing the White House.
Yeah.
Rick, if you're on with us this evening, I'm going to give you an opportunity to speak, and you can elaborate on this for me, if you would, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Again, my name is Rick Reed from Lighthouse Land Surveying, presenting this Form A before you tonight. You are correct. The parcel A is being carved out of existing property of Hershey. The existing property of Hershey presently has about 350 feet of frontage. We're taking that parcel A and removing 30 feet of that frontage, leaving a remainder of 325 feet of frontage. The Lisa Leonard, Scott Leonard property actually doesn't have frontage on Chestnut Street presently. And they're benefited by a right-of-way over the Hershey property. And through various reasons, they've decided and made arrangements with the Hersheys to purchase that parcel A in order to basically remove that right-of-way and have just and free unencumbered access to Chestnut Street. So it's kind of fixing an old piece of property in order to gain access to Chestnut Street. So
Does that-
technically,
Does that technically make that a retreat lot?
good question. Truthfully, hadn't even looked at that.
Because you
I
don't
don't
have you don't have the minimum required frontage for a retreat lot with only 30 feet.
It is an existing lot, house number 2450. And as a result, we're just trying to fix an existing issue.
If I may, where is the frontage to 2450?
Oh, it's house number 2450.
Where is the frontage to it?
Oh, I'm sorry. It's house number 2450. Presently has no frontage on Chestnut Street.
So this home has no frontage at all.
It had right away before through the other property.
Well, it's still, it's gotta be a right of way still, because,
Yep, the right of way still exists right now, but the Hersheys have been granting the parcel A to the Leonard property. Basically, the interest is just to remove the right of way and give them the access without that right of way. They've had some issues with past owners about maintenance and such like that of the right of way, I think.
Mr. Chairman. I'm
Yes, go
very-
right ahead, Mr. Woods, go right ahead.
Yeah, I'm very familiar with that piece of property and the issues of the past. And I'm very happy to see this happen. Without throwing anyone under the bus, this is the best possible thing for the neighbors. And I support this 100%.
Well, that's okay, but in my opinion here, what I need to know is this was a non-conforming lot. And right now, it still is a non-conforming lot.
Mhm.
The Leonard property, that's correct. But other than conveying parcel A to the Leonard property, the Form A before you is for the Hershey property, cutting the parcel A and leaving the remaining land with 7.5 acres, 7.2 acres and 320 feet of frontage.
Okay. I see that. Thank you for the clarification.
Except that the
other
application is
questions?
actually, except that the application is actually, well, 2440. Let me, hang on, let me just go back here real quick.
Mhm.
Okay, for the back to the application. So this application is submitted for map 1, lot 84 and lot 87. So it's for, so you're carving parcel A out of the Leonard property and
Nope,
this can, oh, I'm sorry, the
Hershey property.
Hershey property. Thank you. I was looking on the wrong
Yeah.
side. And then it's being conveyed to the Leonard property. So
Correct. Yep.
I got it. Okay. I mean, I'm just curious how the Leonard property, the 2450 was ever approved. How did that ever happen? I mean, I know this is beyond the conversation here, but
No,
how
it's
did
good.
that?
It was a good question because when this came across our desk, oh, wow, okay, it's great to see two neighbors actually talk amicably about conveying it. And again, you can probably read through the lines here. A right of way with a property like that, really tensions can cross quite easily.
Were those two pieces of property at one point one property? Is that why it was like that to begin with? And then,
I don't know that information.
okay. All right. So thank you. So Chairman, I'm concerned about, I mean, I know it sounds like we're trying to do what's best for everybody here, and I think that's great. But my concern is approving property with only 30 feet of frontage. Is that typically done? I mean, I've never seen that before.
Well, the house is already there.
Right. And that's the only difference,
It's
right?
been there for, I don't know how long. I don't know what year that house was built, but somebody granted them permission to build that house back in the day. So this is just going to clear up any issues between the neighbors. And it's always nice to have friendly neighbors.
Okay. All right, thanks.
What,
It seems to look like they want to, excuse me, remove the limited access that was given by the neighbors, the Hershey's to the Leonards, or vice versa, and they want to eliminate and have separate driveways.
Right, that's clear. I was just asking about 30 feet of frontage, which is 10 feet less than the minimum.
And the way it's set up now, they still have individual driveways. But the driveway that the Leonards use is actually a right of way, which is owned by the Hershey's. So
Yeah, so
the other two neighbors never got along. They were like oil and vinegar. And now that the Hershey's had bought that property, they're getting along great with the neighbors. And, I'm not trying to do any favors for anybody here. It's just, I think it's just the best thing for everybody.
All right, I have nothing further, Chairman.
I'm just wondering what this creates for us going forward.
That's what I was alluding to. I was concerned about the precedents.
Yes. I would have at least liked to see 40 feet of frontage so that at least we can call it a retreat lot. Is that possible or impossible?
Nothing is ever impossible, but more likely than not, the Leonards certainly were amazed that they were willing to get this far. Sort of like biting two pieces of the apple versus just the one, asking for more. They quite simply were just happy with the existing stone wall that delineated the limit of the existing driveway. I'm certain that we could probably ask them if they wouldn't mind expanding it, but then, you know,
What does that mean for the Hershey property? They had 350 feet. They got rid of 30 feet.
yeah, truthfully, it wouldn't mean really that much, if anything. We're only talking another 10 feet. Certainly, it would mean the wall wouldn't be the actual delineated line. I mean, we all know walls in the town of Dayton are, you know, recognized. It's a nice, easy to see recognition of that line. We can go with the 40, but certainly it would kind of go beyond what their intent was and just simply take the minimum amount that they need.
Yeah, I'm concerned about the precedents, but at the same time, as you know, as I hear you talking about the interaction between the neighbors and having effectively, we'd have to destroy that wall. And then,
Not
I mean,
necessarily.
it's a slippery slope because you start saying, if you think about it, you know, and I'm just kind of playing both sides of the coin here, but really, if you start saying you want to turn it into a retreat lot, then you start going down the list of, do they have underground utilities? Do they have all these other, are they at least, you know, all these other requirements to be a retreat lot? And I'm leaning more towards, yeah.
That's a
I mean,
good point. That's a very good point. So
it becomes a slippery slope. So I think I'm going more towards, I'm okay with it being 30 feet because I realize the extraneous situation between what's going on here, and these are existing residences and we're not approving something new. So I'm okay with it, but everybody's, you know, you're all, obviously, Joe, you have to have your own opinion, but.
no, what I was actually thinking is if we could take it like a 45-degree angle on that right side of that driveway and take an additional 10 feet of that, because it really wouldn't matter much for the Hershey. But at the same time, we still have the issue that an existing whatchamacallit lot would have to have underground lines and stuff. So I agree with what Jeff just said, so we'll go with it.
Okay, and, yeah, I'm looking over the plans again. You're correct in stating the 30 feet. They only need 20 feet access to have a driveway to be put in there, at that location. I don't know if the, Hershey's would be willing to give another 10 feet at this point, in regards to, you know, having 40 feet continuous. There's nothing says it has to be 40 feet continuous frontage, though, John. You have to remember that. On a retreat lot.
It's 40 feet of frontage and 20, at no point narrower than 20 feet. So I guess the follow-up question is how narrow is the driveway at any one point?
I don't believe the driveway's narrower than 20 feet. I don't have it shown here, but we have it located. And again, the existing driveway kind of stays inside the stone wall there. So again, if we're going to make the request to go to 40 feet, I think it would be a moot point. We'll make sure that the narrowest point is 20 feet. Keeping in mind it is a triangular piece of property, so it narrows out. Again, their intention was just to have enough area for the driveway to enter into the property and account for that. So.
Okay, I see that intent.
Well, if I may, right now, this is a home with no frontage to anywhere. This is, at least they have their own access to get in there now, instead of just someone else's access. We can't make them tear down the house, so therefore, I don't think it makes any difference whether it's 30 feet or 40 feet. We're not gonna make them, as Jeff just said, that to put in the underground lines or nothing, so depending on what you guys want to do, but I'm okay, as Jeff said, I'm okay with it as well.
Okay. Any other questions, gentlemen of the board, for the engineer? If
None
not,
here.
I'm going to entertain a motion to accept the Form A application of Lisa Leonard at 2450 Chestnut Street, map 1, lot 87.
So moved.
Motion has been made. Is there a second?
Second.
Motion made and second. Any further discussion on the motion? Hearing none, let's vote. By roll, Vice Chairman Woods.
Aye.
Member Figurito.
Aye.
Member Cavallo.
Aye.
Member Cunha.
Aye.
Chairman Ryan. Aye. Thank you, gentlemen. I'm going to move on to agenda item number 4B. And as the Antone Roderick Trust, 0 William Street, map 16, lot 23-1, special permit for a retreat lot. Now, gentlemen, we did receive our information back from our peer review engineers. I'm sure everyone's had an opportunity to look at that and also the plans. The requirement is 40 feet of frontage. The bylaw states that it does not have to be contiguous. Keep that in mind. It does not have to be contiguous frontage. Again, the applicant has checked all the boxes through our engineers in regards to this retreat lot. As you can see, the information is being provided right now up on the screen. I'd just like everybody just to take a quick look at the plan that was provided. Zeta Consulting Engineering of Lakeville. I believe their engineer is on with us this evening. Sir, are you with us?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, I am Niall Zager from Zenith.
Good evening. How are you?
I'm very good. How are you, sir?
I'm well, sir. Could you just elaborate on this retreat lot for us, please?
I also have Antone Roderick here as well, the applicant / owner, and I also have attorney Gene Guimond as well present in case there's any questions that need to be answered. So basically what we have before you, we were already in front of the board, I don't know, probably last year for lot 1 retreat lot, which we obtained a special permit for a retreat lot, which is to the south of this property. We are now before you with a special permit for lot 2. It meets all the requirements as far as frontage. It meets the requirements as far as area, upland area. You know, it meets, as you know, it went through a rigorous review from your review engineer. And I believe that they ascertained the same thing, that it was, you know, everything was met. Mr. Roderick had purchased, and as I'm sure you're aware, we came in front of you for the purchase of parcel A, which is located to the from the Reed parcel to the east of the parcel. That's being combined to gain the over 8 acres of area that's required for the retreat lot. So I think overall this is, you know, fairly straightforward, and I'd be happy to answer any questions that the board has.
Thank you. Gentlemen, I just want you to just cruise through our peer review engineer information that was provided. I want to go to item number F. And this has been a concern of mine, it's been a concern of ours in the past. And I'll just state that the retreat lot shall not be further subdivided, shall be a condition of the special permit that there is a prohibition against further subdivision. A deed restriction preventing further subdivision enforceable by the town of Dayton shall be also recorded with the plan. No building permit shall be issued without proof that the restriction has been recorded. Now, the engineer's response was, based on the plan and special permit, the lot is not proposed to be further subdivided. However, conditional approval and restriction is required. The applicant has noted in the application shall incorporate the following in the deed. The grantee take title to the premises subject to the restriction that the premises shall not be further subdivided, and said restriction is a condition with the special permit granted pursuant to sections 5300, 5090 of the Dayton zoning bylaws and recorded with the Bristol County Northern District of the Registry of Deeds herewith, and the acceptance and recording of this deed by the grantee is an acknowledgement that the conditions shall be binding on the grantee and the grantee's successor in title assigns. I'm not gonna read the rest of it. Mr. Roderick is, as we very well know, has done lot A or lot 1. He's come back to us with lot 2. Lot 1 fit the criteria as well as lot 2. Again, you'll see again further on in the comments that the retreat lots shown on this plan shall not be further subdivided. The access from the frontage, which is access from the frontage of said lot to the principal structure on said lot shall be within the boundary lines of said lot and shall not be via a right-of-way or any public or private easement over an adjacent lot. Now, our engineer's response was the proposed driveway is within the boundaries of the lot. The frontage is situated entirely on William Street. The position of the house will comply with all setback requirements, and the lot complies with the Dayton zoning bylaws and subdivision rules and regulations, except as indicated in section 5094. Now, I know there's been a question of drainage up there, and it says that our engineer's response to the question of the existing drainage patterns shall not be disrupted by the construction of a driveway on the retreat lot. States that our engineer's response was, although the special permit plan does not show the grading required to construct a driveway, the plan has enough information to demonstrate that the existing drainage pattern will be maintained as described in the cover letter. So again, gentlemen, peer review engineers looked at this extensively. I don't have any comments for the engineer. I will make this statement before we do vote, that 2 letters were received by abutters to our planning board office manager, and I'm not going to read these into record. I've read these myself. In my opinion, this is a civil matter. This should have been taken care of civilly. It's not the purview of the Dayton Planning Board to argue over a land dispute between neighbors. That is not what we do. So with that being said, I am going to open it up to public input. Please identify yourself by your name and your address, please, if you would.
Barbara Catavia.
Yes, Mrs. Catavia.
Yeah, 1755 William Street, Dayton.
Go right ahead, Mrs. Catavia.
Okay, could you please read me the lines where it does say frontage does not have to be non-continuous?
There is nothing that states that in the bylaw. I will read the zoning bylaw. It says that under 5093 or 5090, section 5093 requirements of a special permit shall not be granted unless the planning board determines that the following conditions have been met. Said lot shall be entirely within a residential zoning district. Said lot shall have a minimum street frontage of 40 feet and a width of not less than 20 feet at all points. The area of said lot shall be 8 or plus acres, with at least 1 acre being contiguous upland. A driveway length
I know the rest of it. Excuse me,
Yes.
hon.
Yes.
I didn't ask for the whole thing. I just asked for the frontage, non-continuous, because I believe earlier you did say it conformed in being a non-continuous 40 feet. And that was conforming to the bylaws. But I just like to know, where does it say it doesn't have to be non-conforming? I mean, non-continuous, not non-conforming, I'm sorry, non-continuous 40 feet.
That was never written into the bylaw, Mrs. Catavia.
Oh, well, okay. Now, okay, so I'd like to say it took years to legally draft and pass the specifications of retreat lots and have it voted and passed at town meeting. I believe the main question here also does this board have the legal authority to change the footage requirements on access to retreat lots? If this
We're not.
board would like to change the access requirements as pertaining to continuous or non-continuous footage, I believe that they should go through proper legal channels and have that wording inserted into requirements of the retreat lots. It doesn't say non-continuous.
Absolutely correct. So with the way the bylaw is written, we have no choice but to possibly pass this Form A application this evening, retreat lot presented by Mr. Roderick at that location. Again,
So there
that would have to
could be,
be a rewriting of the bylaws, have it looked at by the attorneys, and then again passed at town meeting.
correct. That is the legal way.
But
That
the
is the
legal way of
legal-
all this was
That
done,
is
this
the
was
legal
done.
wording. Mr. Rhines,
This-
when you, at the beginning of this meeting, you said that this was, I don't believe the exact words, but that it was legal as to the retreat lot bylaws of non-continuous 40 feet. I heard you say that.
Actually, what he said was that the bylaws don't say continuous is required. It does,
And
there is no qualifier on whether or not it is continuous or not continuous. It just says 40 feet.
Well, I don't
Correct.
believe that is legal. I don't believe it being
Mrs. Catavia,
non-continuous
this-
because it does not say non-continuous either.
This is,
It's a
Mrs.
gray
Catavia,
line,
if I
and
may-
I think that should be voted on by the
Mrs.
town.
Catavia, if I could please.
Go
This
ahead.
bylaw that was presented and voted on at town meeting went to the Attorney General's office and was approved by the Attorney General. Any bylaw presented or city ordinance has to be presented to the Attorney General. They examine it, they look at the wording of it, and they make the final determination to say that, yes, this fits the standards of your intent of the bylaw.
And it was 40 feet. They did not put in non-continuous.
It's,
Right, but it
It
also,
has
not
but it
been-
also
apologize
doesn't
if I use
say,
that terminology, maybe I should not have, but it just states that all you have to have is a minimum of street frontage of 40 feet. And everyone keeps saying that, yes, it does not have to be continuous because it's not stated in the bylaw. So if there needs to be a bylaw revamping, again, it would have to be wording done, presented to our attorneys, have them look at it, make the approvals, go to town meeting, change the wording in the bylaw.
That's right. And I think that's the legal way it should happen.
Well, Mrs. Catavia, we can act on this right now and be legal in all grounds under the Town of Dayton zoning bylaws, legally presented from the Attorney General and passed at town meeting. I don't know what year it does not state it in the bylaws, in the book itself. But it's the bylaw right now as it stands is absolutely legal under the state law.
I
Mr.
don't believe
Chairman,
it is
if I-
legal because it doesn't include non-continuous.
but what you
Well,
also
there-
need to recognize is it actually doesn't say continuous either.
That's right. It doesn't say either. So in
So-
that case, that's a mistake that someone missed going up the line. Nobody brought it up. Now it's recognized. Now it's before the board. Now you can see that it has to be and should be voted on by the town.
So in that
What do you mean?
respect, in that respect, then if it doesn't say continuous or non-continuous, the assumption is that it means either. And that's how
Well,
it's
I
currently
would
written.
assume it meant continuous as in regular
then-
frontage on houses.
Well, that's
That's-
not what the Attorney General at the time stated, so with everything, if there is no further comment, because we're just going around and around on this issue, is that,
may
Mr.
I ask a
Yes.
question?
Figueroa, absolutely.
In my opinion, this is a 40-foot driveway. This is it's a continuous 40 feet all the way into the house.
Who's speaking?
It's Joseph Figueredo, board member.
Oh, it's not continuous.
What do you mean it's not, it's showing here? Could the engineer speak on
It's
that
20
behalf?
feet. It's 20 feet.
Yeah, we're talking about the frontage, Joe.
Yes, the frontage, it's
20
either that
feet.
or
It's 20 feet.
It's
And
20,
And the other
20
side is a
feet.
little more than
Tw-
20 feet.
yeah, altogether it's over 40.
As long as the frontage is on William Street and it's 40 feet of frontage, it doesn't matter if it's lumped together or it's separated. Now, I'm just I want to make a comment myself, in regards to all this has transpired. I want to go back to the original intent of Mr. Roderick, if I may, Mr. Roderick and his attorney. I'm not speaking for you, but, Mr. Roderick originally wanted to do, a conservation subdivision up there and wanted to do approximately 8 to 9 homes. And at that time, I believe, that Mr. Roderick didn't want to, do all those test holes on that property because it was just cost prohibitive. Instead of building 8 homes at that location, Mr. Roderick has now reduced it to 2 homes, left 8 acres protected with the proper, upland for the retreat lot. Now,
Mr. Rhines, Mr.
Yes.
Rhines, excuse me. Have you looked at this plot plan? Have you looked at that over there?
yes, I have, and so is conservation.
All right, where's the wetlands and how much wetlands and how many houses can you put on that wetlands? Because the whole back of it is wetlands, so it is
And that is
unbuildable
the-
anyway.
And that is probably the reason why Mr. Anton Roderick decided not to go the route of doing a conservation subdivision because of the wetland property that's up there. And he knows
That's
that.
right. So how can you say that was his intent when right from the beginning, he knew that was wetlands? Everyone knows it's wetlands.
Doesn't matter,
He's
Mrs. Catavia, we're going around and around here.
You're
If
the
there's
one
no-
that brought it up, Mr. Rhines. I didn't bring it up. Him thinking he
That's
was gonna
correct, but
build a lot of
I
houses.
was making a statement that he came to in front of us, and that is what happened at the time, and Mr. Roderick decided to go the retreat lot route. That's what happened at that property. Now,
So
if there's-
I'm supposed to be happy that he put 4 houses back to back in a small area consisting of 18 acres maybe, or is it 16 acres? They're all crowded together in one little teeny area. So you're telling me I should be thankful. I'm not even near them. I'm within the footage, but I mean, I'm not adjacent. But you're telling me I should be thankful he didn't put a large housing project back there.
I'm
I
not
should shut
saying that.
my
You're
mouth
putting words
and
into
be
my mouth,
thankful.
Mrs. Catavia. Don't do that, please. We're going to end the subject. We're going to move on. You've expounded what you wanted to say. If there are no other abutters to this property that would like to speak, if you are out there, please, now is the time.
No, they sent their words in instead of speaking. They weren't able to,
Correct.
either one of them. They were out of town, out of state, out of the country, actually.
Well, Mrs. Wheaton was on Zoom earlier. I don't know what happened to her. She disappeared, but that's regardless of the point.
She's not allowed to speak. But, okay, well, have a good evening.
Thank you, Mrs. Catavia.
I would like to just ask one question on one of the abutters. Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
My name's Joe Pozeski. I live at 1743 William Street. My biggest question is on the application where the driveway is, it says that he has the right to use Brook Street, which I know obviously when that street was dissolved, it was meant to go to the abutters, but it was never actually formally attached to every parcel down the line of Brook Street. If you look at every GIS map and every assessors map that's out there, the lot still, the street still shows as a street, not split down and given to the actual abutters. So in the word and on the app,
If I may for a second, yes, there was a decision that was sent down from the town attorneys that Audrey Lane was dissolved and all of the abutters on Audrey Lane now abut, they own that property. That's why it's just an example, is that a solar farm was built on property on Brook Street that used Audrey Lane as frontage and Brook Street. But there was a decision that was rendered and sent out to the town attorneys that Audrey Lane could be used in such manner.
A different interpretation of it is whenever a road is abandoned, 50% of that road goes to either side. Whoever abuts
Correct.
either side of that owns 50% of that road. That is the interpretation that I've used in the past, and I believe that's the law.
That's
I
correct.
still have a question on this here.
And that
I
can be.
see 20 feet.
One at a time, please. Mr. Figueredo.
I'm still looking at this. It shows 20 feet, and then there's a dark line on there to either side of that 20 feet. So where is the 40 feet frontage to this lot?
To the south, abutting the south end of the property.
That is part of this property?
Yes, it is.
Okay,
It is.
I'm all done with that. Thank you.
Do we have any comments from the public? Hearing none, gentlemen of the board, I'm going to entertain a motion to approve the Antone Roderick Trust, 0 William Street, map 16, lot 23-1 for a special permit for a retreat lot.
So moved.
Motion is made. Is there a second?
Second,
Motion made. Motion made and second. Any further discussion on the motion? Hearing none, let's vote. Vice Chairman Woods,
Aye.
Member Figueredo,
aye.
Member Cavallo,
Aye.
Member Cunha,
Aye.
Chairman Rhines, aye. Roderick, please reach out to our office manager for any documentation that you would need going forward to record this.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Zager, thank you very much for attending this evening. Mr. Roderick and your attorney, thank you very much for attending with us this evening. We greatly appreciate it.
Everyone have a great night.
You're
Thank
welcome.
you.
Thank you very much.
You too.
Take care now. Gentlemen of the board, I'm going to move on to agenda item number 4C, and that is a presentation from Blue Wave Solar, Middle Street and Tremont Street Solar Project, proposed alternative emergency vehicle turnaround. Sir, if you would please identify yourself with your name and whatever entity you're with, if you would, please. You have the floor.
Good evening, Mr. Chair. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, this is Rich Riccio from Field Engineering. On behalf of Blue Wave Solar, I have Mike Zimmer and Chris Knight on as well. I was hoping I could share my screen with the plan. We just wanted to look for some guidance from the board, whether a couple minor changes we're making or would like to make to the solar array would require a formal amendment of the site plan review, or could be handled administratively through the review of the building permit and then shown on an as-built.
Rich, I just made you co-host, so you should be able to share your screen now.
Okay, let me
There you go.
pull up.
Rough Ricky, you went down.
Mr.
Yep,
Chairman, do you mind if I say something, please?
Go right ahead, sir.
Why are they presenting this now live here on Zoom and not providing us the paperwork ahead of time to review this?
We're not
They're
acting
doing
on
a
anything.
preliminary. It's a
Right?
preliminary.
Yeah, well, it happens all the time with solar. They know what they want to do, and they know they had proper time to send us this information. And now they want us to act on camera. I'm not thrilled with this. we do have a 48-hour window to post meetings. And before we talk about anything, I'd like to have some paperwork in my hand to look at before we discuss it.
Understood, Mr. Vice Chairman. Mr. Riccio, I'm gonna let you speak on this behalf just briefly, but if we could, depending on what our schedule is for next month, that way the members could have all this information to look at it also. And then, of course, you can send it on to the fire chief. That way, the members would have an opportunity to be able to look at the plan.
I appreciate that, Mr. Chair, and we were only looking for a brief time just to present the plan. We have been in discussions with the fire chief already. But just to go over the change we're talking about, this is the existing plan that we had previously approved, had 2 cul-de-sacs on it. If you recall, first we had gotten the array on Mr. Cabral's property approved, and then we came back and went through the process for Ms. Racine's property. So that's just to refresh the board's memory. That was the plan we had previously approved. This is a revised plan, basically just trying to be a little more efficient with the layout of the array, with the panels, eliminating the central cul-de-sac and bringing down, keeping everything else the same on the project site. No change to any of the limits of work, fence line, any of the footprint itself. It was just an internal change on the layout of the access drive. And the question for the board was whether or not this change would rise to the requirement of a formal public hearing to amend the permit.
Can you go back to the original?
I'm sorry, go right ahead. I'm sorry to interrupt. Go ahead, Jeff.
No,
This is the original plan here. There was 2 cul-de-sacs for a turnaround. Like I said, we had submitted this in phases previously. So this was the end of the project on our first submittal. And then we added this southern area onto the array for a modification. We never removed the internal cul-de-sac due to the length of the access road from one end of the project to the other. In discussions with the fire chief, he mentioned, he would be agreeable to a T-type turnaround to dimensions. I believe he wanted 40 feet of length. We're providing a 60-foot length turnaround.
Okay, thank you. Yes, no, continue. Well, I was looking at that also because there was that problem up there before when you did have the cul-de-sac that we wanted to extend the footprint of the cul-de-sac so any fire apparatus or public safety could get in and be able to turn around. So now that I'm looking at your new proposed turnaround, it's 60 foot in length. It's going to be 40 foot in width. The fire apparatus would have plenty of opportunity to be able to turn around up there at that location.
Correct.
If I'm correct, what I'm looking at.
Correct.
Okay.
So that's the major change we're talking about on the plan here. We do have we did pull back some of the arrays on the southern portion of the site for the and this is to just provide a even more gravel area for the agricultural use. They're talking about potentially grazing animals on this portion of the property, and this would be an area where they would keep the animals when they're not out in the grazing area.
Okay.
But the main change, once again, was the turnaround, and we just wanted to see if any of this would rise to the requirement of a formal amendment with advertised public notice and such to the project.
Has the fire chief looked at
Look
this
at
at
it,
all?
Rich. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Mr. Cabral. Mr. Figueredo, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Has the fire chief looked at this?
Yeah, we did discuss this plan with the chief. Chris Knight from Blue Waves on the phone as well. I know he had discussions with him. If he could add, I don't know if he has anything to add with regards to that.
Go ahead, if you would, please.
Yep, this is Chris Knight with Blue Wave Solar. It was probably 4 to 6 weeks ago, bring this plan to Chief McGee, I believe that's how you pronounce it, asking if both cul-de-sacs would be required, or if one would be sufficient, the one at the southern end, if that would be sufficient, singular. His response was that he would still like an intermediate turnaround, but it was actually his proposal for this T-shaped turnaround as opposed to the cul-de-sac. So he has seen this plan. It was actually his suggestion that we make this type of modification.
Okay, okay.
Hey, Mr. Chairman,
Now,
Mr.
go right
Chairman,
ahead, Mr.
Robert
Woods.
Woods. This really gets under my skin, really. They talk to the fire chief. They don't talk to us. They don't send us anything. It's just rubbing me the wrong way. I would like to table this, get the paperwork that we need to look at, talk to the fire chief, and get back to these people.
Mr. Vice Chairman, great point. There has been is that a formal motion for table?
I will make a motion to table.
I'll second.
Motion has been made to table. Gentlemen, a motion to table is a non-discussion motion. Is there a second on the motion to table until further information can be provided by the applicant?
Second.
And there is a second. Again, gentlemen, this is a non-discussion motion. We're going to go right to a roll call vote. Vice Chairman Woods.
Aye.
Member Figueredo.
Aye.
Member Cavallo.
Nay.
Member Cunha.
Aye.
Chairman Ryan is an aye. Let the record, the vote reflect, there were 4 in favor of tabling and a 1 nay for the record. Rich, if you could, are you still with us, Rich?
Yeah, yes, I'm here. That was really the intent, was to see what exactly the board would want for a submittal. We can send in a cover letter with the 2 versions of the plan to the office tomorrow. So you have it, and hopefully we can discuss this at the next meeting.
Okay, Mrs. Easter, do we have a idea of when we can get them back on the agenda?
We have quite a few public hearings coming up, so I'd have to take a look. I guess the board would have to make a determination on whether this would be a major or a minor modification. I think that's.
Yeah, gentlemen of the board, I know we voted.
Right now.
I'm sorry.
So I think the goal of what the applicant, and correct me if I'm wrong, Rich, is if you were trying to see if this was a major or a minor modification.
Correct.
And if it's a minor modification, it does not require a public hearing. If it's a major modification, it does require a public hearing. So I would suggest that when you submit your paperwork, you can put a request in there to be considered for a minor modification, and then the board can take that, and then we can go from there. We do have mid-February, we have the 2 public hearings. We have Forest Hills and we have Brook Street Solar. And then we do have 620 Spring Street, which looks like we're gonna be scheduling that for the first, forgive me, the first meeting in February for the marijuana facility at 620 Spring Street. It looks like that's what we're heading for on that one. So February looks a little busy. So
Would the second meeting in January that you have, just for the board to make a decision whether this needs to be major or minor, would that be a possibility?
Let me just pull out my calendar. Hold on. So we look okay for the 19th. I could put you on the agenda. I can pencil you in.
I can get these 2 plans into you
Sure.
electronically and a cover letter to, tomorrow by the end of the day, just so you have it. I won't waste any time.
Of course. Of course.
Okay. We would greatly appreciate that, because determining to, moving forward, whether we, make this change or not.
Sure. All right. I'll
Great,
pencil.
Rich. I'm sorry, go ahead, Mrs. Easter, go ahead, I'm sorry.
Tremont Street. Minor. All right.
Rich, if you could, please reach out to the fire chief and, have him, send a written statement in with his, thoughts on this, if you would, please.
Definitely, we can make sure we can get something in writing from him.
Any extraneous materials presented to us would be, in our favor, so.
Okay.
Hey, gentlemen, I'm gonna entertain a motion to, put, Blue Wave Solar, Middle Street and Tremont Street Solar Project, proposed alternative energy, emergency vehicle turnaround. Again, that's proposed alternative emergency vehicle turnaround until our January 19th meeting.
I'll make that motion.
What's the meeting? Is there a second?
Second.
Motion has been made and seconded. Any further discussion? Let's vote by roll. Vice Chairman Woods,
Nay.
Member Figueredo,
Aye.
Member Cavallo,
Aye.
Member Cunha,
Aye.
Chairman Ryan's aye. Let the record reflect there was 4 ayes and 1 nay in regards to putting them back on for January 19th. Rich, thanks as always. Again, you know the routine. Reach out to Mrs. East today for anything that you need or vice versa. And we look forward to seeing you on the 19th.
Thank you very much, gentlemen. And Carrie, I'll be in touch tomorrow.
Okay, sounds good.
Thank you. Have a good night, all.
Thanks, Rich.
You too.
Have a great
Bye.
night now.
You too.
Gentlemen of the board, I'm going to move on to agenda item number 5. We can do this in groups. It is legal. So I'm going to entertain a motion to approve the meeting minutes of the November 17th, December 21st, 2021 meeting, December 15th meeting of 2021.
We'll move.
Second.
Motion has been made. Is there a second? And second. Any further discussion on the approval of the meeting minutes? Hearing none, let's vote by roll. Vice Chairman Woods.
Yay.
Aye.
It's getting fancy now.
All right. Rito's an aye. Member Cavallo?
It could be a yay or an aye, same thing.
Right. So I just want to, I'll finish that at the end. Member Cunha?
Aye.
And Chairman Ryan is an aye. Just let the record reflect that, Mr. Cavallo, has extraneously looked at our meeting minutes, and, we do have a saying around town, Jeff, that we are going to award you the next red pen.
Okay.
Yeah.
Can I write it on my computer screen here?
I'm gonna move on to agenda item number 6. Do we have any correspondence for this month, Mrs. Easterday?
We have no correspondence.
Correspondence. Do we have any public input for this evening? Any public input? Do we have any public input via the internet?
Give me 1 second to double check.
Careful, the internet's a scary place.
All right, yes, it is. Nope, I have nothing.
Before we adjourn this evening, I neglected to wish everyone a happy new year on camera. I hope that everyone gets an opportunity to possibly, enjoy 2022 much better than we have 2021. It's nice to have all members present sitting at the dinner table, especially around the holiday season. So I will just comment on that. Just a reminder again that our next meeting is the 19th. Right now, we may be doing Zoom again. It all depends on what the parameters and the criteria comes down from the local Board of Health. They're, working on things as we're going. So with that being said, we will possibly again be on Zoom for next month. So, gentlemen, I'm going to entertain a motion to adjourn.
And before we adjourn, Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
I would just like to say that I am really sick of solar companies walking all over us. We got to be a little firmer with these people. They all have deadlines. and they don't care about us. They just care about themselves.
No, that's a great point, Woody, you're right, I agree, we have to, oh yes, again, reminding myself that, gentlemen, we're in the month of January, and, town meeting is gonna be upon us very quickly, so I'm gonna ask, if I could have, maybe one or two volunteers to, sit down to, start crack-a-lacking on these, bylaws to update, and also we have to work on our standard operating procedure going forward for battery storage. I believe we do have another meeting set up. I'm just not exactly sure what that date is. I don't have my phone on me right now.
I was gonna bring up the battery storage to them because they're gonna come at us with it. And what they're really trying to do is supersede our board's authority. And I don't appreciate that. Look what the other solar company on Brook Street did to us.
No, you're right.
I'm not anti-solar, but I'm anti, trying to walk over us, okay? If you want to be walked on, go ahead, but they ain't gonna walk on me.
Nope, I absolutely understand. No, I'm in agreement. That's why I thought that was, best practice that you decided. I'm glad someone did to, table the last item, on the agenda.
I said it
Up there on
before, I'll
Fremont
say it
Middle.
again, right? They think that we just fell off the turnip truck. That's what they think.
Well, if I may, in the other hand, we can't generalize all of them. Some are a little more respectful than others. I think we should do that on a as it comes to us basis, like for instance, today, all they were looking for was a very minor thing. As long as the fire chief had that, I didn't see any reason to table that, but that's my opinion.
Well, they send it to the fire chief. They could have asked us about it too, Joe. The fire chief doesn't approve this stuff. We do.
No, in that case, the fire chief would have been the one to approve that because he's the one that's gonna have his trucks in there.
But we approve it. The fire chief does not approve it.
We have the final say, but if he
Right.
says no, then we don't approve it.
And nothing against that guy, Rich, because he's a nice guy and he presents himself very well, but it's nothing personal.
Yeah.
I just seen it from every single solar since it started. And I'm not gonna stand for it.
Well, that's okay, but I just think that instead of us saying no to all of them, I think we should just say on the way it comes to us is how we should vote on it.
I agree. I'm not saying to say no to all of them.
Well, you generalizing, and that's my point. We should not do that.
Well, he was doing the same thing Brook Street Solar did, doing
Okay.
stuff without telling us.
Yeah, no, I'm not arguing, Woody. I'm just stating my opinion just the way you are. So I just don't want, I think we can be professional with them and work with people instead of working against people. That's my whole thing. I've been on the other side many a times. I know what it's like to be presenting things to the board left and right and not get anywhere, and I just don't like that, If we had said to them, okay, if we don't have the paperwork, we're not gonna vote on it, we're not gonna do anything. And I don't know if that was said or not, but I am saying that now. We should say it to everybody and be strict by it. The board will not hear us or you unless you have the paperwork on our hands 48 hours prior to. And I am not trying to say yay or nay to you, but I'm sure you probably said that to them, right?
Right. Well, I think just to clarify a little bit, they wanted to just make an informal presentation to get an idea from the board of how to make the presentation or how to make the application. And which is what I was saying in the end, was they weren't sure if this was really going to be considered a major modification or a minor modification, or even if it was something that could even be done something similar to what Brook Street had done when they had some field changes and be done like on the as-built. And of course, they absolutely weren't going that route. So that's a good thing, right?
Yeah, right.
Right?
Good.
So
Yeah.
they were looking for guidance from the board on how to proceed with the change that they were proposing. And I think they were being proactive in seeking the fire chief's opinion first, because it is, you know, a fire route access, so to speak,
Mhm.
right? And they actually, from what I heard, what they did was revise it to what the fire chief wanted. It wasn't what they
Right.
wanted. It was what the fire chief wanted. Number one. Number two, and I think they weren't looking for any board member. They weren't looking for the board to act. They weren't looking for the board to make any motion or anything to that nature. They were just looking for guidance from the board on how to proceed.
And honestly, that's the way I took it. Unfortunately, when it was tabled, we couldn't speak anymore on that behalf.
Right.
Yeah.
So, and that's really in essence, and maybe I should have worded that on the agenda a little bit better.
Joe, for future reference, you could have voted against the table.
You know what? I could have, but
Just so
So,
you know, that's why I did that. I didn't agree with that. But that's why there's 5 members on this board. We all have our opinions.
yeah, no, and that's, I'm just stating this out because we can save people some time just by working with them a little bit, you know, and
yeah,
I don't mean anything against you, Woody. You've got your opinion. But honestly, I think that's the way I feel. I like working with people and work with them the best way we can to help them.
yeah. And the other thing is too, the bottom line is, even if they did present something tonight with the paperwork and everything, you guys wouldn't have been able to act on it.
Right,
Exactly.
right.
Because they didn't submit a formal application. B, they didn't submit the fee. And C, it wasn't listed on the agenda for an act. So you guys wouldn't have been able to act on it anyways. I would have stopped you.
Correct.
Saying, no, you can't do that. So
Yeah.
they were just looking for some guidance on the board's from the board on how to proceed on that. So I think maybe I'll take some of the rap on that on a little.
I think at the end of it,
Yeah.
everybody got what they wanted. We got to see what their plan was. We know they talked to the fire chief. Now they're going to go back and formalize it.
Yeah.
And then they're going to come back and get our decision on whether it should be minor or major. Then they have to submit, and then it'll be
Yeah.
sometime in February, March anyway.
Exactly.
So I think at the very end, it wound up the same anyway. So
Yeah. Bottom line. Yeah.
I
they,
got
they,
what I
got-
agree.
they,
You
they
know,
have,
what
they
is
have to
that?
follow. They're going to have to follow the timeline and the rules, and that's just the way it's going to be. So
Right.
And I
Go ahead, Woody.
said what I said because the next developer coming down the road, they watch these meetings and they see, right? So maybe the next solar farm will be a little more upfront with us because the past few have not been upfront.
No, I agree, Woody. I understand your point. You know I do. Joe, I understand where you're coming from. All the board members, I do. I wholeheartedly understand. We could have acted, well, we could not have acted on a legal vote anyway to approve what they want to do this evening. So again, you know what, it's just as an example. Remember when we had an applicant come in to us for Brook Street, and they came in with their engineer and their attorney, they were asking us all this information, so on and so forth, of, what they could and couldn't do. Well, we really didn't provide them with much anyway because we couldn't.
Yeah.
And we're not the advice board. I hate to say that. We are not the advice board. There are rules and regulations that are set by our bylaws that I think that going forward, before we act on what's going on with Tremont Street and Middle Street, I think we could legally make a motion on the floor to have it that all information must be provided to the planning board by the applicants, or we're not going to hear your case. I think we could do that.
And we should.
Well, we already have that because if they don't, what happens is they don't get placed on the agenda if they don't have a complete application on file. And the fees.
They were feeling us out for against their opinion, you know, what's your opinion? So,
Right.
I wholeheartedly, Woody, we've discussed this before, you know, just individually between ourselves, and you know how I feel, and I'm in agreement with you. I don't like being stepped on either. This is gonna stop, and we're the board that can put a stop to it.
Thank you. I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn, and there has been a quick second to adjourn. Any further discussion on the motion to adjourn? Hearing none, gentlemen, let's vote by roll. Vice Chairman Wood.
Aye.
Member Figueredo?
Aye.
Member Cavallo?
I'm thinking about voting nay, but I'm going to say aye.
I know where you live.
You've
We'll
been to
get
my
that red
house.
pen to you.
No.
We'll get that red pen to you as soon as we can too, so.
Thank you very much.
Hey, happy
Aye.
New Year to all.
Happy New Year.
And Ryan's aye. Again, gentlemen, our next meeting is January 19th, 2022. We have a pretty full agenda coming up for the next couple of months. So just keep that in mind. And with that being said, there's been a motion to adjourn and a vote. Good night, Town of Dayton. Good night, Cable. And thank you very much.